Nice little pull back. Get that bend. It is something else.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to G-Rod Grills. My name is Gerardo and this is my channel. If you're into backyard barbecue over a variety of different grills, whether it's pellet, charcoal, or electric, then please consider subscribing because that's exactly what this channel is all about. Today I'm going to be doing the pork spare ribs. Not going to trim it down to St. Louis cut. I have a video on that if you want to check that out. This is going to be the full spare. Just going to trim a little bits and pieces here and there just to make it look good, but we're going to cook it whole. We're also going to be cooking hot and fast using the Traeger Pro 780. That means we're cooking at 300 degrees, which changes a little bit of how we do the cook, but not really too difficult altogether. Are you ready to get going? Let's go. All right, here we go. Here we got a full spare rib. You know it's a full spare because it still has the sternum bone attached. Hasn't really been cleaned up on the ends here. And this is what I would normally trim down to a St. Louis cut rib. Not really doing a whole heck of a lot here to clean it up, but just to kind of get it ready for the barbecue. So with that said, let's get going. You're gonna need, you don't need much, just need a really sharp knife. This here is a tool cutlery knife. Some links in the descriptions below with a discount code for you as well there if you want to use it. These are super sharp and very affordable, so have a look. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to trim off this little tail here. I'm just gonna feel for this last bone that's in here. You can feel it. And just cut into it. Next, this little skirt here, there isn't much here actually. Usually you have a little bit there. Just gonna go ahead and trim that off. And then last is this sternum. Now this you can feel if you have a full spare, you can feel this is a full bone here. I'm not sure if you can see this in the camera, maybe you can, but there's a bit of a seam that goes here, a little seam of fat. What we're gonna do is I'm just gonna cut there, just gonna put a little bit of pressure on. It's all cartilage. So as long as you've got a sharp blade, this should cut right through. That's pretty much it. The next thing, when we start looking at the shape of the rib, these little kind of really thin bits, kind of like a spine, I'm just gonna trim that off just to kind of round it up a little bit. And the reason for that is I don't want anything that's kind of too thin, because then it's not gonna cook at the same time and then it's gonna burn, or it's gonna dry out, and that's just not worth it. You know, and for this little bit of meat, you're not hurting anyone here. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get to this membrane. This membrane, depending on who you talk to, people are gonna tell you, you gotta remove it, you gotta remove it. You don't have to remove it, so don't listen. If you're just doing for barbecue, backyard barbecue, you don't need to remove that membrane. I do it out of habit. I've always removed them on my ribs, but if you watch some of my other videos, I've also talked about scoring the membrane. So what scoring means, you just take your blade and you kind of cut some grooves through it, and that's just gonna let the smoke kind of permeate through. What I like to do though, is I'm gonna take a paper towel. This rib should kind of bend a little bit in your hand, and when it does, reach in there, and then now that once you've got a hold of it, you can pull. Doesn't always come out in one. We can definitely do it. And there you have it. It's pretty much all gone here. A little bit left in here. And what we're gonna do there, I'm just gonna score it. What I'm gonna do next here is I'm just going to start seasoning. I'm going to season with two different rubs today. I'm gonna be using the Whiskey Bent, the Blazing Bird, as well as Meat Church's Honey Hog Barbecue. These two I haven't used in quite a while in some of my cooks, but I really do enjoy the flavor on them in pork, so we're gonna start there. And on pork, I always use just yellow mustard. You don't need to use any binder, but I do. It gives you a good idea, good view as to what you've seasoned or where your seasoning is hit, so that you make sure that you've got this covered. I'm gonna start with Blazing Bird. Once you got it covered, pat it in, and then layer in your other one. That's it. Again, normally you want to let this set in for another 5 or 10 minutes if you have the time, or if this was a perfect world. In my house, nothing's perfect, so we're gonna go this way. And we'll just do it again. Well, there you have it, all finished up here. So now we're just gonna let it sit here at room temperature and let that rub kind of soak into the rib a little bit. And while it does that, I'm gonna go outside and set up the Traeger. We're gonna set it for 300 degrees, get a smoke tube going. And once that's ready to go, I'll show you how we put these on. All right, here we go. So our Traeger is now preheated, 300 degrees. It's time to set this up. We're gonna set this on the hot side of this. For me, the hot side is close to the smokestack, opposite side of the hopper. Just gonna give these a little squeeze, shape them up. Because even though they are backyard barbecue ribs, you want them to look nice and pretty when they're done. I'm gonna flip these over because I just realized you want to set these, cut the bone side towards the burn pot. So set this up there, give them a squeeze again, shape them up, set. These guys I'm gonna put up top here, just so that they're not dripping on top of the rib either. I'm gonna close the lid here at 300 degrees. I'm gonna come back in about an hour, 20 minutes, and have a look to see how it's doing. I might need to spin it around at that point, maybe give it a little spritz here. All right, here we go. So it's been about an hour in, as you can see here on my ribs. They're starting to look a little dry, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give them a spin, but I'm also gonna give them a little bit of a baste. I did have a spray bottle, but I guess the mixture I'm using here is a little too thick for it, so it didn't work. Didn't work when I tried to spray. So what's in here is a mixture of 50-50 of my barbecue sauce, just your regular barbecue sauce, whatever it is that you like, and apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar will help just kind of cut down the sugars in this as well. So I'm just gonna kind of pour it all over. As you can see at the top here, I'm starting to get a little bit of bone pullback, but nothing much on this side. So I'm just gonna give them a little spin here, just to make sure. We're almost there, I think, at wrap time. We've got good color. It's looking pretty good. It's a little dry on this end here. I can feel it. That meat is pretty dry. That's okay. The ends, when you do them like this, that's usually how it works out. We're all set. All right, so it's been about an hour and 15-20 minutes or so, and I'm just looking at these. Color is looking mighty great, and I probably can't see because of the sun here, but looking pretty good. Nice little bend on them already, a little bit of a pullback. So let's go ahead and pull these off. And I'm gonna take them inside, and I'm gonna wrap them up. I'll show you how we do that in a second. All right, here we go. So this is what we're gonna do. So normally I would put some butter, some honey, and some more rub in here. I'm not gonna do that today because it's, again, hot and fast. I don't wanna burn anything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some more of that sauce that we used. Just gonna put a little bit down here. Just gonna help us give some color. Gonna put these meat side down. Just get a little bit more inside there. And then this is 2 pieces of foil. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap them up double foil just to make sure that this bones here don't poke through. And it's easy peasy. Again, I'm wrapping this as tight as I can. Try to keep it tight, 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 tight. Done and done. I'm just gonna do the same to the other little pieces and then we'll be done. All right, so here we go again. We're gonna put these back. This is just the little spare pieces there. I'm gonna put these down, meat side down. So I put these upside down so that meat's on the bottom here. I'm gonna put them meat side down, back where they were. I'm gonna give them about half an hour maybe, and then we'll come back and check for tenderness. Notice the first time I didn't take any temperatures on them because I don't really care about the temperature. I want to know about the color. What I'm going to be looking for is a little bit of a bend. So you see this one already has a little bit of it. I want it to bend a little bit more without it breaking through. So we're going to put these back on here and we'll let them go for another half an hour, 45 minutes, still at 300 degrees. And then we're going to come back and just give them a check then. All right, here we go. So it's been about half an hour, 40 minutes or so. This is what we're looking for right here. you grab them, you can see how they're starting to bend already. And just by feeling them, you can tell that these are super tender now. So those are ready to go. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna open up that foil and then I'm gonna sauce them. I'll flip them over and you can see, look at that bend. You know, they're not breaking, but they are bending on their own. So we're gonna let this sit to let it tighten up for a little bit, and then we're gonna sauce them. And we're just gonna sauce for a good maybe 15 to 20 minutes, just to let that sauce get tight. And we'll go from there. All right, here we go. So now we've let it sit in here for a good 15 minutes or so. See how the surface is not as wet anymore. Just gonna go ahead and probe it, just so that you know it's bone. It should be probing like butter, like no resistance as you go in and out of that meat. And that's what you're looking for. From a temperature perspective, I don't know if you can see, bone. Yeah, 210, 212. There should probably all be around the 210 mark. You're not worried about the temperature, just worried about how it feels. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour a little bit of sauce here. I'm using the Traeger Sugar Lips. This is a glazed type of sauce that'll set nicely. Just going to pour it over top. And then I'm going to brush it. So I'm just going to throw it back in there. And then it's set for another 15 minutes or so. Just open like that. And just to set the sauce. All right, here we go. There's the rack. Nice little pullback. Get that bend. It is something else. Perfectly done here. That's exactly what you want. Nice big deep bend, but not breaking through. Here we go. Let's give these a cut. So let's flip them over. We're just gonna go down the bones here. These ribs cooked for about 4 hours or so, which is about an hour and a bit less than what low and slow normally would be. So if you're in a pinch, definitely worth it. Oh, look there. Let's have a bite. It's tasty. Definitely taste the smoke. If you can see, perfect bite through. It's not falling off the bone. That was a good rib. Hot and fast. Get a rack of ribs done in about 4 hours. Really can't go wrong there. Absolutely delicious. Well, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, drop me some comments below, and also please consider subscribing. It would really help me out. Until next time, as always, I'll catch you on the next Year Rod Wheels.